In 1994, Toyota invented a new generation of SUVs. Toyota's unusual three-door Highrider was the first to offer genuinely fun driving without leaving the blacktop. Similarly, and about the same time, Subaru introduced the Forester, a car that did the job of many other wagons when on the road, but left all of its rivals behind when the asphalt came to an end.
But this isn't the 1990s, and the new car market has never been so fickle. Does this pair of historic vehicles still possess those hidden talents? And do they have to work harder than ever to maintain their position in today's unforgiving market?
To find out exactly what this popular pair offer, I'm going to put them to a test in a sort of exchange program. First, we'll see how each contender fares in its traditional habitat. The Toyota will carve up a decent driving road, while the Subaru will cut a few laps of an off-road course.
Years growing up, the RAV4 has grown in size and weight, and you can really feel that through some of these more enthusiastic corners. It really does resist turn-in, and it's a bit lazy. It doesn't kick down as readily as I want it to when I get into some of these tighter corners and I want a bit more power. And notably absent are paddle shifters on the steering wheel, so I can't force it to doing what I want. But where the Toyota really does well is in cabin quality and ride comfort. It's eerily quiet in here, very, very smooth ride, and the quality, although this one is the top-of-the-range Edge variant, is beautiful. Find the right road, though, and the Toyota RAV4 can still be good fun. It's got sharp steering, great visibility, and it's equipped with a good set of tyres for on-road use as well.
Next, it's into the Subaru and the realm it's always traditionally dominated.
Oh, it's very good. This car was conceived to leave the trail behind and go places that other SUVs simply can't follow. And it still does it to this day exactly the way it always has. I've got a number of different driving modes from the X mode system down here. Snow and dirt seems to work just as fine as deep snow and mud. When you really get stuck into some more challenging obstacles, you can hear all the bits and pieces coming together and working. There's plenty of electronics that work in harmony with good old-fashioned mechanical oily bits and four-wheel drive systems. And I've got all these meters to show me the kind of angles of descent and inclination I can get into as well. I don't know whether it's useful to a complete amateur like me, but it's nice being able to tell people at the pub later that I dialed in 22 degrees of roll and didn't end up on my roof. No surprises at all from the Subaru Forester when you put it in its natural habitat. That permanent four-wheel drive system just adds so much confidence. You can really tell that this car has been bred and always intended to do things like this. The off-road realm really is where it's most comfortable.
Before the break, I established that the Subaru Forester and Toyota RAV4 are both still very much at home in the realms they established and dominated 25 years ago. But now it's time to flip the tables.
When the sealed road comes to an end, though, the RAV4 has a real surprise up its sleeve. It's actually incredibly competent. You just flick the drive mode into rock and dirt for stuff like this, and it's finding grip and articulation in the suspension and going places that I simply wasn't expecting at all. It's incredibly capable. That quiet and composed engine on-road continues to be exactly that in nature off-road. It doesn't sound like it's working particularly hard to find the grip that it is. And the electronics controlling all the brake vectoring, they don't seem to be breaking much of a sweat either. Dare I say it, it might have one up on the Forester, and I never expected that. But I think we've found the limits of capability in the RAV4. When it comes to really challenging stuff, it just can't work hard enough, whereas the Forester has just got so much ability kept in reserve. Forester still wins off-road. But when you get on slightly less challenging surfaces like these lovely unsealed roads that will take you for kilometre after kilometre of amazing Australian bushland, the RAV4 really does feel like it's much more in its element. It might not have the absolute hardcore ability of the Forester, but the RAV4 is still a very surprising off-road vehicle. Can the Subaru equal, or perhaps even better, the RAV4's performance on-road? If you had taken a Forester in its first generation through some of these excellent bends, you probably would have ended up in that tree or cliff, because it wasn't very well known for its on-road ability. The Forester did off-road fantastically, but this kind of driving was definitely not its strong point. But it couldn't be more different in the new generation Forester. On its new platform, this is really surprisingly good to drive on twisty roads like this. It's responsive, there's tons of steering feel, the engine comes alive when there was plenty of power off-road. Now I've got those longer legs for powering out of corners like this. I'm really blown away once again by this car. I can feel, I know you're going to laugh at me here, but I can feel a little bit of the rally soul still in the Forester here. Don't ask too much of the brakes, maintain a bit of that momentum through cornering, and what an absolute sensational all-rounder the Forester is proving to be. Just like the original generation Forester, there is so much room in its cabin. I've got loads of headroom for taller drivers up front, but it's also great news in the back as well, where there's plenty of space for big passengers or things. And right at the back, there's a huge boot as well.
Like the original model of nearly 25 years ago, the RAV4 is still completely at home on the road. But over time, it's learnt some off-road manners that the first generation could only have dreamed of. More impressively though, Subaru's Forester is still king of the path less travelled, with almost unbelievable off-road ability paired with class-leading on-road dynamics when the dirt trail comes to an end. Both the Subaru and the Toyota can perform a double act that's hard to top. Sometimes, the most memorable adventures are the ones you embark on without knowing the outcome or the destination.